Okay everybody, so I left off, my last video was the pre-installation of this Akrapovic exhaust system, and then I was going to do one with what it sounds like when I was finished, but I thought maybe I had a couple of tips here for other do-it-yourselfers that I learned in the process, and I would point them out before I started putting this thing back together. Now, if you look up you can look up the instructions online for the installation of this, but they seem to only address the Coupe. And there's a couple things on the Spyder that are different, so that's what I'm going to go over. Take note of the tailpipes where they come down here. Getting the old system. This is the Akrapovic. This is what's going back in. But the problem is these frame members that stick out here. The tailpipes contact there. So you can't lower it enough to get it out, and then there's a lip on this on top of it that makes it even more difficult. So what you end up having to do is removing the taillights and the trim piece that goes along back here in order to get the latch out. And the latch is I have it just hanging here with some zip ties right now. You don't have to take it all the way out, just get it out of the way. In fact, after I did all that, I thought, well, maybe I could have done that without removing this trim piece, because now, you know, of course it's going to have to all be realigned once it goes back, because there's 4 bolts on this latch. But the thing is, with the trim piece there, I think it's a lot more difficult to get at those bolts than it is without it. So I took it off to get the latch out. Maybe that's the best way, maybe it's not, I don't know, but that's what I did. And I removed the taillights. Well, because you have to be able to remove that trim piece. So that's that. They don't go over that in the instructions, at least for the Spyder. So the Coupes might be a little bit easier, but you have to do this extra work up top here to get it out. I mean, maybe you could force it out, but then there'd be no way you could reuse the heat shields. If you don't care about the heat shields, maybe you can force it out, but I didn't want to tear up the heat shields on the stuff that was hanging down here. So I think that's it. I think that was the point I wanted to make, that the instructions don't cover the Spyder, and the Spyder you got it. Oh, and it's a good idea to use this tape here on the edges, because of stuff flopping around. You don't want to scratch the paint as you're removing that bumper. And the jack, yeah, I know there's a jack under there, and there's no wheels and there's no jack stands because they're up further under the car. The only reason why that jack is there is just in case one of those jack stands were to fail. So no, that's just backup right there. That has nothing to do with it actually being up in the air right now. So that's it. I think that's the point I wanted to make. If you're following the instructions, there's a couple things, and you have a Spyder, a couple of things you might want to do extra. So next video, this should all be back together, and then we'll get to hear this thing.